evening. I am back with another sad story. And I know a lot of people don't like that I report these stories like this. And a lot of people don't like to talk about topics like this. But somebody has to talk about topics like this. These are really not hot topics that brings in the money, brings in the bag. Maybe for certain people it brings the money in, but for me, it's not about money. It's about victims, children that's victim and innocent, that's being took advantage of by their parents, friends, and family. You know, and coming from as a victim as myself, being molested, um, I could gather up the muscle and gather up the strength to basically to talk to your guys because I have healed from my traumas and my depression and my anxiety, right? And this is really important that you heal or to begin a healing process for yourself. Because if you do not heal, you won't be able to move on in life. You won't be able to have a life, you know. And being a victim is very difficult and hard to forgive and forget those that have done you dirty, that have took advantage of you, that have disrespect you in all type of way. But I'm here to tell you that you can live through traumas and depression, and you can basically seek help with the Alpha Omega that created everything in existence. But it's a process that you must do, basically. So this topic is talking about this dad out in Atlanta, Georgia. He starved his 4-year-old daughter to death and watched her die. This is sad, man. Another demonic, evil, twisted, barbaric, devil, demon parent starved their daughter to death. Only God knows what else he has done to her. That's abuse, man. Don't listen. And this is really sad that all around the world that we have to do topics like this, and we have to discuss topics like this because for a lot of us it hit home, and it hit home because a lot of us is victim. A lot of us went to sleep without eating. We was in our homes. We didn't have food, basically. Some of us had to go out um, and go to the store just to find food, man. I'm telling you that truth, man. Some of us didn't have food in the house. Let me tell you something. I remember back in a long time in the days when I was younger, I didn't have food in my house. I didn't have no food in my house. So every night, what I used to do, and a lot of people that know me, what I used to do, I used to go up to Twin Donuts. This is back in the days. Twin Donuts back in the 90s. I used to knock on a I used to knock on a window right before 10 o'clock because I knew that that man was going to throw them donuts out and they were going to make fresh ones. They was going to throw them out. So I know every night that I could eat. I didn't have no food, so I would pick up a bag of donuts. They had all different type of donuts. They had jelly donuts. They had plain donuts. They had Boston cream. So I could eat for the night. Every night was different. Every night wasn't donuts, but sometimes he wasn't there. But when he was there, he would give me two big bags of donuts and I would bring it home with me. So I would have food. I would have food because there was no food in the house. And I remember that, starving. And just imagine what this child had went through at a young age of 4 years old and deliberately starving your daughter. You got to be sick, barbaric, evil, twisted, demonic way of life. I hope and pray that you get life in prison and that somebody starve you. I hope that. I hope that you go through pain and suffering as your daughter did, your own flesh and blood. You know, you watch die and starved her. It doesn't matter what's going on between your mother, your family. Doesn't matter what's going on. You don't take your anger and frustration out on a child. Innocence, you know. So let me go ahead and we're gonna watch this video of this sick, demonic, evil, twisted, barbaric devil demon.
The murder trial has begun for Rodney McWay in Fulton County. That's right. So he's an Atlanta father accused of starving his 4-year-old daughter to death in 2023. Well, otherwise, Grace King joining us from the newsroom this afternoon. And Grace, we know that you were in the courtroom for the opening statements here. What did we learn? Well, prosecutors say from the outside, the McWay home looked quiet, playful, and inviting. But inside, it was a, quote, house of horrors. They say Rodney McWay took his 3 kids from their mother in Maryland after years of domestic abuse and isolated them from everyone and everything. Investigators say McWay trapped each kid in separate areas of the house, monitored by cameras, with no food or water. A grand jury indicted him for the murder of his 4-year-old daughter, Treasure, who weighed just 24 pounds when she died from malnourishment and dehydration. They also charged him with kidnapping, false imprisonment, and cruelty to children. Now, McWay's attorney says this case is a tragic misunderstanding because McWay loves his kids and intended to do no harm. He said, well, McWay.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. You didn't love those. You didn't love those children. I don't know. You got an 18B lawyer. He don't really care about you. He's trying to paint it out that you a good person, that you love. You starved them children to death. You're a devil demon, and I hope that you get life in prison. Now, this your little daughter. May she rest in peace. And I sent out my condolences to the victims of the family of this little girl. Her name was Treasure. Treasure. We would never know what treasure, right, she has to place inside of her life to give to the whole humanity. We don't know the treasure that she may have, the gifts that she may have, and the talents because you barbaric, evil, twisted, demonic devil demon cut her life short. She was only 4 years old. What's wrong with you, man? What is wrong with you? You a demon. That's exactly what you are. You demonic. You demonic for starving your children. What's wrong with you, man? What is wrong with you? And you sitting there like this with the dumbfound on, like you didn't do anything, like you don't know what's going on. You know exactly what's going on. You know you didn't give them no water, you didn't give them no food, you starved them to death. This is your flesh and blood, your children, man. How can you do that? I don't care what's going on. There's no excuses where you starving your children to death and watching them die from starvation, from hunger, from water. I remember I used to be hungry, starving. I ain't had no food. There was no food in the house. I remember I had to go to free lunch because there wasn't no food. I remember that. So to have a child at 4 years old that don't know right from wrong, that don't know that they can't fend for themselves to eat, that don't really know to drink, and it's your responsibility as a parent to feed them, to clothe them, to protect them. You violate all of that innocence. You violated it. I hope and pray to the Alpha Omega that created everything in existence that you get what's coming from, that you get persecuted to the highest form of law has to offer for individuals like you barbaric, evil, twisted, demonic devil demon. And it's sad that I had to report stories like this because it hit home. I remember the days of starving. I remember the days of not having food. I remember the days of going to free lunch. I remember the days of not having light. I remember the days of not having toilet paper. I remember the days of not having soap powder. Basically, I remember those days. Those were some hard days, trying days, but we overcame that. And I thank the Lord that He blessed me to be here to give my story. But unfortunately, the little baby Treasure is not going to be here because her father, this demonic, evil, twisted, barbaric devil demon, starves her to death. You a murderer. You sick, barbaric, evil, twisted, demonic, devil, demon. That's exactly what you are. I'm gonna go back. So if those that didn't see it, I'm gonna go back.
Murder trial has begun for Rodney McWay in Fulton County. That's right. So he's an Atlanta father accused of starving his 4-year-old daughter to death in 2023. Otherwise, Grace King joining us from the newsroom this afternoon. And Grace, we know that you were in the courtroom for the opening statements here. What did we learn? Well, prosecutors say from the outside, the McWay home looked quiet, playful, and inviting. But inside, it was a quote house of horrors. They say Rodney McWay took his 3 kids from their mother in Maryland after years of domestic abuse and isolated them from everyone and everything. Investigators say McWay trapped each kid in separate areas of the house, monitored by cameras, with no food or water. A grand jury indicted him for the murder of his 4-year-old daughter, Treasure, who weighed just 24 pounds when she died from malnourishment.
This is sick, man. You gotta be sick to kill your daughter like this for starvation. There's no excuse for that. I hope and pray the Lord take control. I'm talking about law, law, take control and persecute you at the highest form that the courts can offer you. I hope and pray they starve you and give you life in prison and you suffer just like baby Trezor did. Your own daughter, flesh and blood, you demonic, evil, twisted, backstabbing devil demon. Something is wrong with you, man. And it's sad because, going through this as a child, I understand what she went through. Just a little bit what she went through as a child because I went through it. I went through it. So all of us need to bow down and send a prayer to baby Treasure. She's in no more pain. She's in no more suffering. She's in no more starving. 4 years old was the hands of our own father. The creator took her. And I hope he punished you, you devil, demonic, evil, twisted, backstabbing devil demon.